external document something na. But in case already some other release class was there already, different release class and with one release group. But in new release group again you created, but your class is different. Then it will not allow to save. Okay, you should have only one class here. Release object 2 means it is for header level release. Okay, so for all header level release groups, you must assign same class. But in case already one class is there, assigns one group, but again one more new class you are assigning to one more group. Hello? Hiroi. Come. Where? Okay. No. Here, for all release groups, for all header level release groups, class must be same. Suppose already one class is there with that class characteristic values. With this release group, many release strategies already created using. But in the middle of the business, client asked to create a release strategy with some other fields. Then again you create a new character. That new character you assign to new class. But here a different class it won't allow. Then what do existing release group you have to delete? If you delete existing release group with existing class, then only your new class with your new release group allows. But if you delete existing release group with the existing class to maintain your new release group with the new release class, what happened that with the old release group and old class, already some release groups, release codes are created. With that deleting release group, already release codes are defined here. And with that release, which release group you are deleting with old class, with that release group, already release strategies are defined. Then that release groups related release codes, release strategies also will disappear here. But you are not deleted release strategies and release codes, but associate release group you delete. But that release group related release codes, release strategies, suppose subjected to your PO, but associate release group is not there, then your existing release strategies will not subject to PO. That's why whenever you are deleting release group to allow your new release group new classes, ensure in real time with this release group and the class, whichever you are going to release, delete. With that release group and class, if already release codes, release strategies are there, but your PO will not subject that release strategies because associate release group does not exist. That's why you want to create new character for new release strategies in the ongoing project. Assign that new character also to the same class, to the existing class. And again, you can create with the new entry, new release group, but assign same existing class in the Let's save that. Click release codes. New entries. Now you define the release codes. Suppose release group one column, release code one column, workflow one column, workflow role one column, description one column. So workflow not required, description. Customer manager, procurement, finance controller also to see the funds position to approve the PO. Right now. But in case some junior person created PO with purchase organization, document type and order value 10,000 to 1 lakh range is there, then one strategy will subject S1. But in that strategy, 01, 02, 03 are the release codes maintained. And you maintain first it has to release by release code 01. But purchase officer who prepared PO, in case for his PO, it's subjected release strategy, then either he has to inform to this release code user ID, that is to the manager, as PO needs approval by you, or daily this release code assigns to which manager user ID, then he has to monitor in ME29, in ME28 T code, he has to monitor in which PO release code 01 is subjected, then he is responsible, then that POC has to take report, he has to approve the PO. But everybody busy with their day-to-day activities, if they forget to take which purchase orders needs approval with this release code, then the POs nobody will release. Then what we can do is here you can assign the workflow. Workflow means whenever PO subjected to one strategy, in that strategy this release code is maintained. Then to that release, this release code assigns to which user ID. To that user ID through workflow customization settings in the ABAP module, that PO number it will send to that manager inbox. Inbox is what SPWPT code. Assume that release code 01 is assigned to this user ID, and daily that user or assistant manager, okay, when comes to office, then he will open the SPWPT code. You can see messages issued in the inbox, and in that inbox, here in workflow, you can see workflow item. In that workflow item, it will show so-and-so purchase order number. It will show purchase order some 1, 2, 3, 4 waiting for approval. Means the workflow customization, ABAP will write that PO release information, how it has to appear here, with what description, and the PO number also. And in the workflow customization, ABAP will write the PO number, it should come with hyperlink with highlighted color. If we click that PO number here, again it has to call ME29 T code, which is the release PO T code. It has to call automatically ME29 T code. In that T code, it will take this PO number. Then he will review and approve the PO. Those all will write in the workflow. But this workflow you assign, it is not enough. Again, we have to configure workflow settings in ABAP module in SWDDT code or PFTCT code. Okay. So here, role assignment means you can create role in the PFCGT code. In that role, ME29 T code authorization. In ME29 T code authorization, again, release code 01 or 02 is authorized. Suppose release code 01 is authorized in the ME29 T code. Later, that role assigns to manager user ID, assistant manager user ID. Then, with his that assistant manager, whenever you go to ME29 T code with his user ID, in that ME29 T code, he is authorized only 01 release code, then he can click release code 01 only to approve. If you click release button opposite to release code 01, it allows. But with other release code opposite, if you click release button, it won't allow. So those are all configurations will be done by ABAP here. Okay. So you can assign but instead of that standard role functionality through user exit, okay, you can configure the workflow. Okay, we'll see it later, all this. Better. No. Workflow in bracket optional. Here in bracket optional. Next line. If you select workflow here, then in ABAP module, workflow settings has to configure. In PFTC or SWDDT code. Next, save. Next, back to pop-up. Next, click release indicators. Entry. So this release indicator, any X or Y or B or something, if you create with new entry, enter. And opposite to this indicator, release checkbox is not selected means it is block status. It means this release indicator assigns to one release code. Suppose 01 release code assistant manager. Then that assistant manager release the PO, but still the PO status will be blocked because for release code, assistant manager release code 01. For that, if you assign release ID B, but here release checkbox not that means still the PO status is block status. Whenever PO is in block status, it won't allow to convert into GRIR. It won't allow printout also. It won't allow to send to vendor by mail or by max. It won't allow output also. But whenever status of PO is showing with status B in the PO as blocked, but still in ME22L, changes allowed or not. So it is not yet released, that's why still we won't allow changes. Then you select changeable. But initially release strategy S1 subjected to the PO. Initially release strategy S1 subjected in PO because in PO this release strategy document type, order value, authorization are there. That's why in PO in enter level release strategy S1 subjected, and in that release strategy S1 in next screen we will maintain who are the release codes as to approve. Later this release code assigns to which user ID. That user ID already in ME29 T code he approved the PO. But for release code 01 assume status is assigned B. As per status B, still it is in block status. But if I select 2, still it allows changes. So because of changes, what happened in PO, suppose you increased quantity or you added one more item, then total purchase order value exceed greater than 1 lakh. If it is greater than 1 lakh, then it is satisfying release strategy S2. Then your current PO, it has to subject still old strategy only or new strategy. Okay. So if you select 2, changes possible, but no new determination of release strategy means new strategy, it won't subject. Currently what strategy is there, that strategy only. Third means changeable possible, but new release strategy you can subject in case of new strategy. Again, you have to start new release in case of new strategy means in case S1 was there already, but you changed settings, quantity or line items added extra, then total order value exceeded 1 lakh, then new strategy S2 you want to subject, then you select 3. So that new strategy S2 can subject. But in the new strategy, again, from beginning release code, again, you have to start the release. 4 means changes possible. In case of PO subjected to new strategy, then again, new release means from in the new strategy, again, starting release code onwards, again, everybody has to start new release. But it allows to change the value of the PO up to some percentage. Value change means you have to enter how much percentage of value. Suppose purchase order total value up to 60% you can extend. Means earlier in the PO total value is 50,000, then another 60% it allows. Okay, total order value more than 60% you cannot increase. But 5 means assume already PO is outputted in ME9FT code to vendor with releasing the PO with old strategy, but still changes possible. But again, your PO satisfying now different strategy. Again, as per new strategy, again you have to release from beginning release code. Again, it is already outputted to vendor, still changes possible, but new strategy is there. Again, new releases from beginning release code, but again it allows changes for total purchase order value up to some percentage. How much percentage went up? Okay. If you select blank, changeable possible, new release in case of new strategy. Okay. Whether it is outputted or not. Okay, new release possible. Likewise, you can. But one means you cannot change anything in the PO in ME22N. Whenever it is in block status, we will allow changes, either 1 or 2, 3. But one indicator you are defining release checkbox. Assume this indicator assigns to final release code. Then the PO is release status. Still you want to allow changes, select the changeable is possible. But this is one more indicator also you create, suppose R, that is also specifying the PO status and release status. But here I can select whenever it is PO is in release status, that is R. But I want not to change anything by anybody, then cannot be changed. If you assign G for final release code, that is final manager, it is in release status, but still changes possible. For final release code, if I assign R, the PO is release status, but you cannot change anything. So whichever you want, you can use in these two. Right. PGR checkboxes. Tick mark. For changeable. Okay. In case of new strategy, new release in case of new strategy. You write checkbox, tick mark, for 1. For 1 you write cannot be changed. B block description, G means value change 60% only. Suppose you enter some percentage. Release. Same. Next, back. Click release strategies. In entries. So define one release strategy, and that release strategy is subject to PO, which release group release course has to approve. Then this release group people has to approve the PO whenever this strategy subject. Strategy one. Now 01 first has to approve. 02 assistant manager, next manager, and general manager. These three people has to approve. Whenever in PO, in enter the condition tab, value is this range. Right, next release code. Right, first boxes. So how many release codes possible in one release strategy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, 01, 02, 03. You write empty boxes. You write no part to that. In release strategy, maximum release codes are 8 only. Maximum release codes are 8 only. Hello? వస్తున్నాను మా తమ్ముడు వస్తున్నాడు మాట్లాడాను లేదు. Maximum release codes are 8 only. In a release strategy, maximum release codes are 8 only. Suppose first release code 02 has to approve, then maintain here release code 02, then 01. Any sequence. Next, click release prerequisite button. Okay, prerequisite means if one release code has to release the PO, then before him, who has to release? Now, sequence wise it is coming. For release code 01, no prerequisite. He directly only release the PO. But release code 02 has to release, then prerequisite 01. Then for release code 02, these are the prerequisites. Then 01 is the prerequisite. PO has to release by release code 03. Then before 03, the prerequisites 01, 02 are the prerequisite. Means PO has to release by 03. Then first 01 must release, then 02 must release. Then only 03 can release. Suppose you want to release the PO from lower level to highest level, then lower diagonal you select. But you want to release the PO from higher level to lower level, then select top diagonal. Write down first this diagram. You write like below. You write like this. This. Click continue. Next, click release status button. Now, in case no one is released, then what is the PO status? Suppose black. Then what is the indicator created for black status? B. Suppose only 01 release code assigned to which user ID, that manager released. But 02, 03 not yet released, still blocked. Suppose 01 release, 02 released. But 03 not yet released, still blocked. Suppose 01, 02, 03 all are released. Now I want final manager also released. In the start, we have a highest manager, that is the release code 03. 03 release code also released PO. Then I want to allow the PO status, release status. And it has to allow G or AR for that PO. Then G. But G means for release indicator G, release checkbox is selected in the customization. Wherever you create a release codes, there for release code G, the release checkbox is selected. That means release status. But for G, you assign changeable is possible in case of new releases, in case of new status. Means still changes possible. In case I should not allow changes, then in sub G you select R. For R also, release checkbox is selected, but cannot be change option selected. So whichever you want, you can select. Suppose G. Right on. Click release status. Next line 01, 02, 03. Next opposite release indicator. Right is checkbox is unchecked, means not a release. E in bracket block. Only check first release code. These are unchecked. Blocked. Click continue button. పెద్దలు వస్తున్నానా పెద్దన్న వస్తున్నానా సరే అదే ఆమెను వదిలిపెట్టి నీకు ఎవరు వస్తున్నారని సరే ఒకసారి పెద్దన్న ఫోన్ చేస్తున్నారు నాకు ఫోన్ పోలే సరే సర్లే Note, up to here only, it will save in the transfer request. Up to here only, it will save in transport request. Next, click classification button. But when this strategy S1 has to subject in PO. So this release group, this release group posts involving in this release strategy, whenever PO subjects in this release strategy. But this release group assigned to one class. Now this release group people, when you assign to class, then that group of people has to involve whenever in PO that class characteristic value satisfied. Means in PO, what class, in that class what character, in that character what fields are there in PO, for that field values they are responsible. Okay. Now this release group assigns to class, it is showing here. In that class you assign characters, but that in that character whatever field names you entered, that field description is coming. Now in PO, in the order type means document type field. Suppose any of these, but multiple values you are selecting here. Why? Because in this character you selected multiple value checkbox. Then that character values in the drop down you can select multiple values. But you selected in the character one option CT04. The CT04, suppose one character document type you see in the display mode. You selected here multiple values. That's why it can select multiple document types which are maintained here. But additional values selected here. Not only these values, additionally any document type also you can enter here. So you can enter additional document type some, maybe UB for example. That also will come. You can select. Suppose NBFO. And net order value. Single value only you can select in one strategy. Why? Because the character is GNEW. Here, single value. Then you can select only one value, any one, not multiple. These values in the character you maintain in this value tab. But these values, if I maintain in one character, then in strategy I selected one value. But after 6 months, they want to change release strategy value from 20,000 to 1 lakh. But in strategy, you selected 10,000 to 1 lakh. Again, they want to select 20,000 to 1 lakh. But end user can change it because character will not transport from development to quality and production. Again, in production, manually, these characters you have to maintain. And in production server, directly in strategies, they can enter their own value frequently. But in character, if you don't select additional value checkbox, these values only they can use it. But these character values dynamically in client business, okay, will change, they want to change it, then select additional value. So that any value they can enter directly the production server. Then here, position first non-unitary, now you enter here 20,000 space hyphen space 1 lakh. Then that will also come. Then they can select that value also. Now I am selecting 10,000 to 1 lakh. And purchase organizations, single. But for purchase organization character, additional value checkbox not selected. So you can't enter new purchase organizations here. And single value. But any purchase organization POs, I want same strategy, S1. Then in character, you select a multiple value. Then it will come checkbox. Right on. Characteristic description. Next, characteristic value. Right on. Order type. Direct checkbox. Tick mark MB, FO. But for contract, document type, separate strategy with a different release group, with a different contract value. And for RFQ, document type POs, different strategy. And for scheduling agreement, different strategy. Then restrict this strategy only for NB and F4 document type purchasing documents. Okay. Note. Release strategy, characteristic values. Will not transport from development server to quality and process server. That's why it won't save in request number. That's why these values will not save in transport request number. So that in production server, these characteristic values has to enter manually. In CL20N T code, CL20N, CL20N T code. So whenever you transport this customization request number, which you saved all these, up to here, the release group, release codes, release indicators, again here release strategy, values, all will save in request number up to here. But classification view details, though you enter, if you save, it will save locally in the development server, but these values will not save in the transport request number. So that transport request number, whenever you move from development server to quality and production, these will not save in the request number, these classification values. Then up to here only, it will save the request number, and that request number transport only release group and release codes, release strategies, and it won't transport the discrete values. Then in quality server and in production server, all this appears by transporting the request number, but in quality server, in this screen, if you come, it will display only field names, but values, it will come blank. Again, manually you have to select the values, where in CL20N T code. If this T code is CL20N, this T code, again, you have to log on into quality client, manually in CL20N, you have to enter the value, then you have to run test scenario by creating PO with this document type and value and purchase organization. And again, if you create PO with that value, and again, is it subjecting or not this strategy S1? If subjected, then this strategy S1 release codes, in case release, then status is black status or release, you have to run test scenario. But again, if testing is done, then again, same transport request number basis people will transport to production server into production client. Again, in production server, production client, again, manually end user or consultant in the beginning, again, they will come to production client. In the production client, in CL20N T code, again, it will show here, and all are blank. In the production server, in the classification view, blank. Then again, the values manually you have to select from the drop down. Next, back. Next, save. Click release simulation button. Now you can simulate this release strategy in the case subjected to PO. These release codes, whenever going to release, then the PO prerequisites, how it will work, these prerequisites and statuses, you can see now. Next time, click simulate release button. So in case no one is released, then block status. But 02, you want to do first release, then double click. It is throwing for release code 02, not possible, because prerequisite is 01. Then 01 can release now, but 02 release prerequisite missing, means this prerequisite release code not at release. In case double click on this, then assume 01 released in ME29 NT code, PO released by 01 release code. Now for 02 release possible, but only 01 release, but for release indicator 01 you assign status B, that is blocked. The release indicator B, that is blocked. Now for 03 also release prerequisite 02 not yet released, so you cannot release. Now release code 02 can release, but 01, 02 both are released, still blocked. Finally, release code 03 can release. If they release, then for final release code, you assign indicator G. Then it's showing release indicator G, changeable, but still up to 20% only value you can change. Okay? You can observe. Okay? And observe release statuses and prerequisites here. It's back. Only you observe here, simulation. Next. Define another release strategy. S2. Or greater than you can select, greater than 1 lakh, S2 with release codes 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. By selecting prerequisites and statuses, by selecting release prerequisites and release statuses. So no one release blocked. Only 01 release blocked. 01, 02 also release blocked. But finally all are released, then release status. Suppose R cannot be changed. With the required release prerequisites and release statuses. With following characteristic values. Write an order type and characteristic description value, 2 columns. Order type, opposite to right, MB checkbox, F4 checkbox, tick marks. Order type, bracket document type, right, checkbox, tick mark MB, below, tick mark F4. Next, total net order value. You write greater than 1 lakh. Examination 4, 7, 8. And save. Suppose prerequisites you see is the boss. You can directly release the PO, no prerequisites. Then for release code 05, I am not selecting any prerequisite. So 05, no prerequisite. You can directly release the PO. Urgency is there. You will release directly. Then the status is also will change. No one release the block. But 01, 02, 03, 04 not released, but still 05 can release. If 05 release, not blocked. Directly GRR, release indicator. Okay? Only release code 01 release. Blocked. 01 release, but others not released, but directly 05 can release urgently. Then not blocked. R. Okay, likewise, whenever final person release, like that. Okay. We'll see this scenario how it will work. Next, back to AMC. In case workflow assigned here, then we need to enter the back to pop-up, click workflow, in bracket optional. In case for release, in the release group, for which release codes While creating release code, you assign workflow for which release code. Then you have to select the user ID, object type. Suppose user type, agent ID is user type, what user IDs. So it will display the list of user IDs. Select your user ID. Star means all will come. These are all user IDs. So one of user ID. But for release code 01, is expecting whatever release code 01. Yes. Either for every release code, assign. But assigning here not enough. Again, in PFTC or SWDDT code, only workflow settings has to configure in a format. Back to ABC. Check release strategies. Enter. Here ensure no errors in our release group and release strategies. But some other people also define release strategy as one, but with the different release groups. But in our release group, release strategy, combination no errors. And ensure no errors in our release group and strategies. Somebody configured wrongly settings, these errors are coming. I'll explain this tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow also, class.